ESPN Tucson 1490 and 1049 FM. I'm Zach Clark. This is the Zach Clark Show. Taking those phone calls at 298-1490, 298-1490. That is the All-Pro Plumbing studio line. You can check them out, allprorouterandplumbing.com. Another quickie today, 3 to 4. We'll have Diamondbacks and Nationals coverage beginning at 4 o'clock. First pitch, 4:05-ish. Diamondbacks, we'll talk about them in 1, 2, 3 here in just a second. Rolled the dice, and I didn't like it. But we're seeing a trend develop. Today, we'll talk Arizona Wildcats basketball. We'll talk NBA playoffs. We'll talk Diamondbacks baseball. And we'll talk about something that I am wearing and Stacy is not. And good Lord, let's hope it's not underwear. Please let the topic of conversation not be underwear. I'm not saying it won't be. I'm asking that it's not. Now, Stacy, Cinco de Mayo is on Friday.
That is correct,
Right around
sir.
the corner. Right around the corner. So we have one more Corona prize pack to give away.
That is correct.
Now, the only way you can win is by going to Facebook.com or YouTube.com right now, searching ESPN Tucson if you have not subscribed on YouTube or liked on Facebook. And you can watch the show every day on both of these platforms. And do you have it on the lower third there, Stacy?
It is going on right now.
Okay, so you can see the word there at the bottom of your screen. You can also see it right now. I'm holding it up here. If you call 298-1490, 298-1490, and translate the Spanish phrase you see, whether it's on the bottom of the screen or on this piece of paper that's conveniently covering up my face, I am sure.
Yes.
You give me the phrase you see here, but you got to say it to Charles in English. You're seeing it in Spanish on Facebook.com, on YouTube.com, on our live video stream, but you got to give it to Charles in Washington. 29 of those points came in the fourth quarter and beyond. Here's the thing about Isaiah Thomas. Number one. Isaiah Thomas is number one in today's 1, 2, 3. We knew he had the finesse, a guy that could score in a variety of ways. We knew that going back to his time at Washington, right? We knew those things. But what I didn't know, and maybe that's because I wasn't paying attention, maybe that's because he didn't show it, what I didn't know is that Isaiah Thomas was so damn tough. I had no idea. Mental toughness, emotional toughness. Stacy, in these playoffs, I know you look at so there are some injuries, but has anybody been more beat up physically and emotionally than Isaiah Thomas over the last week and a half?
Not really.
Not really. His sister dies in a car accident on the eve of the playoffs. She's 23 years old. Her birthday was yesterday. He gets a tooth knocked out.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to talk about the physical aspect of the game, absolutely. Other people get beat up just like that. Okay, maybe they haven't lost a tooth, but it's an extremely physical game.
Could you imagine
Other people get hurt.
Yes. But,
okay.
But wait, hold on. One of the things that we hate the most is sitting in a dentist chair for 6 hours while they basically did a root canal. And then he comes and plays in a playoff game.
I've done that.
Yeah, and then you scored 53 points on your dead sister's birthday the
No.
next day?
That's where the toughness comes in. The emotional toll that he's had to go through.
Toughness is measured in more than one way, and I'm glad that you're pointing it out right now.
So there's the physical attribute of it, and the emotional, the mental anguish that he's had to go through can sometimes be harder to go through.
Would you rather lose your sister in a car accident or have your tooth knocked out? You can knock out all my teeth before I let anything like that. I have a younger sister. I know how that goes. She's, thank God, still alive. But that's why I said Stacy, because if you're talking about just the physical alone, absolutely. Basketball is a physical game. A lot of guys get hit in the mouth. It happens. But when you combine all that Isaiah Thomas has done this season, the path he has put his team on, and then, as we've been talking about over the last few days, what you must do in the postseason, whether it's baseball, basketball, hockey, I don't care what your sport is, you must play above and beyond yourself. Whatever your standard, whatever your tone was in the season, you have to raise your game in the postseason. And for a guy like Isaiah Thomas, who was spouting about 30 points a game, 29, 30 points a game, Stacey, when I say you have to do better than that, that's a big, big ask. I'm asking you to do better than what one of the better averages in the league has been.
and deal with losing a family member
And a
deal with
tooth.
losing your tooth. It's
I know look, here's the thing, but let me just say this, Stacy. What we're doing, and it's not just you that's doing this, but we're making losing a tooth sound trivial. If I had a tooth knocked out like that, I would still be crying. Physically, I would still be crying. No question. So, and that kind of goes to my point here, is that all the things that have happened to him, we kind of shrug off the tooth. When's the last time you saw somebody get a tooth and like the projectile? I mean, outside of a hockey game. That was when I fell in love with hockey. I was about 7 years old. I've been watching hockey before that, obviously, but I'd gone to a minor league, like under the AHL minor league in Detroit. I mean, like it was like 18 professional hockey teams in a 10-mile radius. But man, we were sitting on the glass because there was nobody else there, and these two dudes were fighting, and one of them gloves down, like a real fight, as opposed to gloves on or helmets on or whatever. And man, one guy came right across the cheek of the other one, and it was almost like it was in a movie. I could see it in slow motion. And his tooth, like everything else was dead silent at that point. And in slow motion, I could see this guy's tooth. And I thought, oh my God, I am where I am supposed to be. One of the greatest.
in the stands.
Yes, because there was glass in between. That was why it was so much fun, because I knew my tooth wasn't next, because I had the glass in front of me. Absolutely. Last thought on number one. If Wall's 40 points don't help you, you're in deep trouble. I'd use a different word, but we're not allowed to say it here. Deep trouble. If John Wall can give you 40 points on the road in the Garden and you still lose, and they had a double-digit lead, a comfortable lead. Was it game one they were up 16-0? They've had a couple sizable leads, and they've blown both of them. Washington's in trouble. All right, number two. The Diamondbacks rolled the dice last night on Fernando Rodney. I do not approve. Oh, Zach, it worked. I don't care. I mean, yes, it did work. I'm glad they won. It was a big win. Rockies lost last night. Diamondbacks beat the best team in baseball. The Diamondbacks now have that lead in the National League West. But, I don't know, people say, oh, Zach, he only blew 2 saves. Yes, but they were consecutive, and they totaled 8 runs. He gave up 8 runs in 2 appearances, consecutively. Total, 3 runs. Was it 3 and 5? Or was it 7, 2 and 5? Either way, it was way too many runs. Oh, yeah, but I mean, he was perfect before that. Yeah, but he's been flirting with disaster all year long, and it has been biting him in the ass, the Diamondbacks in the ass, over the last week or so. Now, it didn't last night. I would have liked to have seen them try something different. But as we got into the 7th inning, it became pretty apparent. Once they brought Hoover in to pitch the 7th, I knew that if there was a save situation, that it was going to be Rodney. And, it was almost as if the offense knew that too. They scored a couple runs there late, and the guys in the dugout look back at the outfield fence, and they see, ooh, guys, I don't know, man. It looks like Rodney's coming in to close this one out. Yeah, better spot ourselves a few more runs. That's what happened. Now, he looked good. But I compared Fernando Rodney to a kicker the other day, a field goal kicker, like in the NFL. If he'd have had a day like that twice in a row, if you'd have had that 2 weeks in a row in the NFL, you are gone. Now, I think we can agree that kickers, for whatever reason, are more bountiful than closers. I mean, Stacy, correct me if I'm wrong, but every time they cut a kicker, there's like 8 more that can be hired. And you've heard of all of them.
Yes.
Every time, oh, yeah, I forgot about him. And then a week later, you're like, oh, yeah, I forgot about, they're bringing in those 4 guys for a trial. I remember all these guys.
And then 2 weeks into having them, now I know why he wasn't on a team.
Right, and then they cut that guy, and then the guy that got cut by somebody else signs with another team, and it's like this really kind of incestuous. So it's not as easy to replace a closer as it is a kicker. I understand that. But this is one of those you had one job situation. So again, I'm not equating field goal kicking and closing, though when the problems happen, they're usually severe, right? I mean, if you go if you're somebody that plays in the everyday lineup and you go 0 for 4, 0 for 4, 0 for 4, and you say, well, that's not good, but there are 8 other guys around you that can pick you up. When you're the closer, or the goalie or a field goal kicker. It's just you. It's just you. You know, if we're talking about hockey, if you're left high and dry by a defender, well, the one defender says, well, yeah, it wasn't me, it was Steve. There's two of us here. But when you're the goalie and you say, oh, I'm the only one, right? I will say, if the Diamondbacks are going to keep this up, the way they handled the top of the lineup last night, very good. The Diamondbacks did a very good job of sedating a very potent top of the Washington Nationals order. Worth, Zimmerman. I mean, Zimmerman alone. And I'm not even talking about Bryce Harper yet. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. That's number 2. Diamondbacks roll the dice on Rodney. I don't like it, but I will take the result. Number 3, there's a big fight this weekend. I mean, this weekend is busy. The Kentucky Derby, which I love, but we're here in Tucson, Arizona, the southwestern portion of the United States. We are not far from our Mexican neighbors to the south. And one of the things I've learned about living here, or learned in living here, is that boxing is still, whether it's as popular nationwide as it's been, you know, going back 10, 20 years, probably not, but it is as popular here as it has ever been. And so I'm wondering, as Canelo Alvarez and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. prepare to fight, am I not hype enough for this? Am I not excited enough for this? I don't want to be crass, but I'm going to point out, Stacey, I'm going to ask for your help here. I'm going to point out a truth. And it's not racially driven, it's just the truth. That
Paul Pierce.
He is the truth. But that in Tucson, Arizona, or in southern Arizona, when two men of either Mexican heritage or Mexican nationality, when they fight each other, it is a huge deal here. Go to the bars, go to the casinos, go to the strip clubs. On Saturday night, they're going to be packed.
Yes.
They're going to be packed.
I would say yes to
And
that.
all the TVs are going to be on Alvarez and Chavez Jr. And so I'm wondering if me personally, if I am not excited enough, if I have not talked enough about this fight, because not only is this just two Mexican dudes fighting each other, which it is, but this fight is huge. I mean, if you're into boxing itself, this fight is enormous. I mean, if you look at Alvarez and Chavez together, they are 98-3-2 with 66 combined knockouts. These are two dudes that have fought a ton and do not lose. It's happening in Las Vegas. These fights are huge. I'm not into boxing I follow it every day, every weekend, in and out. But if you line me up a good fight, and if you're having cold beers and some food, I'll come over and watch. It's fun. I feel the same way about the UFC. Am I going to pony up the $100 to buy it? Crazy saying that, but I think these days it's about $95 if you want it in HD. But does anybody buy things in? Yeah, I'll take that in standard definition. Yeah, you got it on VHS? Yeah, okay. 298-1490, All Pro Plumbing Studio Line. Fat Mike, what's happening, brother?
Strip clubs, bro. You were talking about having a wedding ring. Wedding ring going with the strip club don't go together, brother.
That's true. I didn't say I was going to the strip club. I said there'll be people on Saturday watching that fight at the strip club. You're absolutely right, though, Mike.
I'm messing with you. Hey, dude, the big reason why we haven't talked about this fight is because the mongoose versus the hyena circus fight has taken a lot of the audience and the attention away for a fight that could happen with Floyd and Conor. But in all actuality, this fight right here is great for boxing.
Yes.
We were all anticipating Triple G and Canelo to fight, but they, like boxing does, they're going to keep us on the fringe for that, and they're going to push another fight before the mega fight. But in actuality, this fight with Cesar Chavez Jr. is legitimate.
Yes.
He's gonna go in at 185. He's probably gonna go like 15 pounds after the middleweight limit. Canelo's going to be right at the weight limit, and Chavez Jr. is going to be a heavier fighter. He's a bigger puncher.
Yep.
He could take a punch. Team Canelo. I got supporters here. It's a big deal for us as a culture. The Kentucky Derby, a Mexican jockey wins, and then the next time there's a Mexican fighter winning. I'm glad that there's Mexicans during Cinco de Mayo. Not no Pacquiao fight, not no Mayweather fight. This is great for boxing. Y arriba la raza. Go Cowboys.
Thank you, Mike. Always appreciate your input. And see, that's the thing. I know we're talking about Triple G and you're talking about Canelo, and that's the fight that everybody wants. And yes, there's that distraction. Hey, look over here. Hey, look over there with McGregor and Mayweather. But this fight is legit. This fight is big. This fight is going to be exciting. Maybe we'll talk a little more about it on Thursday or Friday. When we come back, as most sports talk shows do, we'll talk about wedding rings here at ESPN Tucson 1490 and 104.9 FM. All right. So, again, Stacy, I still have that prize pack to give away. Still have that prize pack to give away. And it's simple. If you're watching right now.
Translate Corona in La Playa.
Right.
That's all you have to do.
It's all you have to do. 298-1490, 298-1490. That is our number. And if you can translate Corona en La Playa, which you can see on the bottom of your screen, you can see it on this piece of paper right here. We've got a Corona prize pack for you. Now, it's going to look like that, though it will not come with the signed Chase Budinger mini basketball from Houston. That is mine. Because who doesn't have one of those? Who doesn't have?
So, here, we'll give you one of the words.
Corona.
Corona.
Well, Stacey always says, try this. And I said, no, we got to give them, we'll give you one freebie. And really,
the freebie's always Corona.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're the ones putting it on. And remember, you can always go to ESPNTucson.com/Cinco. That's ESPNTucson.com/Cinco. And there you can register to win 2 nights, 3 days at Hotel Rocky Point in Puerto Penasco. But you can still do this, too.
And you can head to the beach there.
Yeah, the hotel's on the beach. 298-1490. The hotel's on the beach where you can drink Corona. 298-1490. 298-1490. Stacey, I'm not sure how much more clear I can make that. 298-1490. 298-1490. More of the Zach Clark Show is next. ESPN Tucson 1490 and 1049 FM. The 11th annual Stella Artois Iron Chef Tucson returns to the Westin La Paloma June 3rd. 2 new competitors will vie for the Iron Chef Tucson crown. You can vote for your favorite now, or you can meet the chefs tonight. That is tonight, May 3rd, which is today. All happening at the Rialto, sponsored by Rio Nuevo. Details at our website, espntucson.com.
It's only $10 to go to that tonight.
I'm assuming there's going to be like buku food, right? I mean,
and from a bunch of different places. So if you want to try a variety of foods,
right,
for what you'd normally spend on just an average dinner,
this is
not a bad way to do it.
And this is basically just a mini version of the same awesome event next month.
For the most part,
well, I mean,
yeah.
as far as like if you're looking for like awesome food, samples, booze, a good time, you're going to get that tonight. You'll get it on June 3rd as well.
Yep.
So head to the Rialto. That is tonight. And don't forget, you can head to Facebook.com as well as YouTube.com and tell me what the phrase is in English that I'm holding in my hands in Spanish. You can also read that at the bottom. Stacy, you're going to leave it up there.
Yep.
We'll leave it up there for now. 298-1490, 298-1490. Got an awesome Corona prize pack for the first person that translates this phrase properly in English.
And by properly, just give us a couple of words that are in it.
Well, I mean, the rest of them are just are there.
Yeah.
Stacy, you and I were having a conversation. I don't know if it was this last week with Ryan Finley and Michael Lev. We were having it off the air. You and I are both married, as are both of them. They wear wedding rings. I wear one. You don't.
That is correct.
Right. So I asked our savvy listeners on Twitter. I had a poll, and I asked folks if they wear a wedding ring or not. 83% say yes, and Stacy, 17% are with you. So you certainly are not alone. And so I got a variety of responses from our listeners. And if you want to call in right now, 298-1490, 298-1490. Do you or do you not wear a wedding ring, and why? We had one listener say, I do. It's not a tradition or anything obligatory. I just like the way it looks. I like the way it feels. Brian said, no, my wife doesn't either. I don't know why, but it's never been a priority, and we're practicing Christians too. Crystal Pino, across the hall, 106 The Groove, said, I do. My husband does not. His reason, he's not a jewelry guy. And then another listener, Paul, said, I think it's pronounced Kalo or Quelo, for work and a regular ring at other times. I looked this up. People that work in like machine shops or heavy equipment, they wear like silicone rings because you can't have metal, nothing dangerous like that or otherwise. So I had to look that one up. But I knew that was a thing. So some people say yes, some people say no. I wear one. I'll be honest. I didn't know not wearing one was an option.
Now, how did you not know that?
I don't know. I guess, in my own personal life, I look at like I have a small family, like a couple aunts and uncles on both sides. My mom and dad. My sister's not married. I guess everybody that I grew up with in my own family does, and all the friends that I have that are married, or at least most of them do. I don't know. It was one of those things that maybe as a kid you assume. And then when you get older, whether your mind has actually changed or not, you don't really think about it. So I just assumed everybody wore a wedding ring. And then when I got married, I don't know. And I like wearing it. I don't wear it because I feel like I have to. I don't wear it because I feel like you need to know that I'm married. Back off. It's not like that.
Because we got women pounding down the door here for you.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I have so many security guards down at the front desk, man. So, I mean, I don't know. And again, I don't mind wearing it. I don't feel like I have to wear it. I take that back. I do feel like I have to wear it, but I would wear it even if I didn't feel that way.
Okay. No,
and I don't judge those that do or don't.
Yeah,
it's
a personal preference. Yeah, personal.
Absolutely.
I personally, to begin with, I'm too fat for it to get around my finger.
Now they make other ones. You
yes.
can get rings come in sizes. I learned that in this process.
And depending on the type of metal your ring is, you can have your ring sized,
up or down,
resized
within a few sizes.
Yeah,
there's yes.
My personal ring, you are not capable of doing that with. It's a tungsten.
Yeah.
I don't like the way it feels. It's just very awkward. Trying to grip something, you'd always hurt the fingers around it.
What do you grip, Stacy? Riding your motorcycle to work? Pulling those levers at your machine job?
Something to that effect.
Okay.
So it was just personal. I
You have one,
I do have one, and I wore it for a little bit, and I didn't like it.
and your wife's okay with that.
Well, I don't know if she's okay with it. She's always nagging me about it,
Right.
but whatever.
Well, and to me that comes back to the original point is that with whatever you and your partner decide or want, as long as you're both okay with the arrangement, who cares what it is?
And I guess I shouldn't say she nags me. She jokes with me about it.
Yeah, you
Well,
already.
I wear mine. What? Were you embarrassed of me?
Stacey, once the toothpaste out of the tube, you can't put it back in. You said she nagged you. You can't walk it back now. You could try, but we all heard it. And I hear other people say, well, I can't wear rings at work, or, I don't like it. And then so I have friends. One of my cousins who is a helicopter pilot in the military, and then I have another cousin who works around heavy machines. So neither one of them can wear rings at all points in time.
Yeah.
It's not allowed. And so they both have their wife's initial tattooed on their finger where the ring would go when they're not wearing it.
Okay.
And I'm going to do that too because, you know me, I'm just a tattoo guy to begin with. So any excuse or reason to get another one. So yeah, I'm excited to do that too.
Okay.
But again, the tattoo portion of it, totally personal preference.
Yeah. No, it's all personal preference.
Yeah.
Whether you wear the ring, whether you get the tattoo, whatever you decide and what you and your spouse decide.
Right. Well, and again, I guess one of the things I love about just being alive and progressing forward in my own life is, again, I never thought about not wearing one. It didn't even cross my mind.
That some people aren't capable of wearing it, that some people don't want to wear it.
Yeah, just not that when I hear it, I go, oh yeah, that makes sense. But before somebody says that, you don't even think about it. And maybe some of it is just ignorance, not on purpose. It's just, how much time do you spend thinking about, am I going to wear a wedding ring or not? I mean, maybe women do, but I don't. So,
yeah.
When I was a kid, I had it installed in me, whether verbally or just out of experience, that that's what you do. And so I never thought oppositely.
Did your dad wear a wedding ring?
Yes.
Does he still
Yes.
wear? Yes. Mine did not.
Yeah, see, there you go. And my parents have been married for a long time, as have yours. But again, and how much coincidence do you have there? Probably not much, right? Because...
Or maybe a lot,
No. No, I don't think so. My dad wears one, I do too. Your dad doesn't, neither do you.
It could be a huge coincidence.
It could be, but I guess in my explanation it's not, because I never was taught somewhere, like in school, all men wear wedding rings. And I said, oh, is that going to be on the test? You know what I mean? Like that.
If only tests were that.
Oh.
I could have done well in school.
I'd have graduated from college at 22, not 27. Totally. So let's take a couple of phone calls. I'm just curious as to how y'all think about this. 298-1490, All Pro Plumbing Studio Line. We'll start with Ruth. Ruth, how are you?
I'm good, Zach. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for the phone call.
You're welcome. I didn't know you got married.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a big surprise for everybody. Who could ever imagine? Yes.
But speaking as a married woman, you better keep that ring on your finger.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
Well, no, don't be sorry. See, I don't mind wearing it. And the other reason, Ruth, I keep it on, I don't really take it off at all. I have a coworker that says he takes it off when he gets home. If I take it off, I'll lose it. So the reason I wear it all the time is because I can't lose it on my finger.
Yes, and as a woman, they'll say, oh, it's okay if you don't wear it. No, you keep that ring on your finger 24/7.
Yeah,
please.
No, Ruth, for you and all other women out there, I promise you that I will. And see, Ruth, thanks for the phone call. See, Stacey, that's kind of how I look at it. And again, I'm not judging you, but like they say it's okay, but they also say when you ask them what's wrong, sometimes my beautiful wife will say nothing, and I'll say, liar. Oh, no, it's nothing. No, you're lying. Oh, I'm not lying. 5 minutes later, well, let me tell you. I'm like, I told you. I was waiting. So, yeah, I don't know. You know what amazes me, Stacey, very quickly, we'll move on here. I was looking for rings, and mine's super simple. Mm-hmm. It's a platinum band. That is it. It's not very thick. There's nothing on it. And that's what I wanted. I wanted something really simple. Oh, my God, there are a bazillion rings out there.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, like, some of them are the craziest things. Like, I saw ones made out of wood, made out of glass, made out of all different kinds of metals.
How would you do the glass? I mean, you hit that on something and...
What? But I I don't know, but
Wow.
but I mean, people that blow glass, it can be. People think of it as art, and so people really like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just telling you that in my looking at rings, the colors. I mean, a lot of people nowadays wear black rings, things like that. I like jewelry, but if you notice, the jewelry that I wear is usually pretty simple. Nothing strong about it. It's not.
I'll try to bring mine in tomorrow.
I'm just curious. Let's see if it exists. Does it exist? Does it exist? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So, I mean, let me ask you quickly, Stacey. We're going to take a break. If it fit, would you wear it?
I don't think so. But that's a situation where mine's a thick tungsten.
Yep.
And so where yours is a really thin, mine is bulky and
See,
wide. And
that's why I picked this one, too. It was part of it because of the way it looked, but also I can barely feel it. And that's
mine you definitely feel.
Right, and that's the difference. We'll talk Arizona Wildcats basketball coming up next year on ESPN Tucson 1490 and 104.9 FM. ESPN Tucson is teaming up with Jim Click Kia and Mike and Mike to send you to the NBA Finals. Listen every day to the Zach Clark Show. That's us right here. And we'll give you specific times to listen to Mike and Mike in the morning for the code word of the day. All you have to do then is register for a chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Stacey, that starts on Monday?
That is correct.
Excellent.
So Friday we will be giving what times you need to tune in to Mike and Mike. All you have to do is listen at those times. They'll give you a keyword that you need to just go put in a website or text in, and
easy breezy.
Yeah,
very
chance
good
to win.
Thanks to Jim Click for being on board with us and helping send you to the NBA Finals.
Jim Click Kia.
Very good. Very good. Let's talk Arizona Wildcats basketball. Nice article in Sports Illustrated written by Seth Davis. I'm not a huge Seth Davis fan, but a nice article about Arizona Wildcats basketball and Sean Miller. And the article starts off by talking about how Mark Few, right before they played in the Final Four, Gonzaga, he called Sean and told him that he didn't feel all that different, that getting to the Final Four, while it was nice, didn't change the way he felt. And, Sean, when he wants to be, can be a little funny. And he said, I bet he was lying. He didn't want to tell this poor bastard how great it felt. And the article begins with, you can't be judged by your last loss only, right? And for Arizona, that's tough because their last loss in every year that Sean Miller has been here has been disappointing. Whether it was to Bucknell in the NIT, whether it was, a handful of Elite Eight trips, 3 of them to be exact, second-round exit this year. That'd be a third-round exit this year. First-round exit a year ago. But that's the thing. The article goes on to the same old song. And I'm not being critical of Seth Davis. What else is he going to write? He's going to write about Arizona. This is the story he has to write. So the story starts with, yes, Arizona had a rough ending, but this could be the year that it changes. And I said to myself, wow, I've read that story in every single offseason that Sean Miller has been the head coach at Arizona. Why? Because it's been true in every offseason that each season has ended in relative disappointment, even though, as Sean points out in this article, his team went 32-5, which they did, a great season in the regular season. But after a tough season, the hope, it flows like wine. It's just like, here, glug, 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 glug. It's easy to be hopeful right now. You haven't lost in over a month. You have one of the best recruiting classes in the country. Some folks believe you have the best incoming freshman in the country in DeAndre Ayton. You get Alonzo Trier back. You may get some others back in Raleigh Alkins, Chance Comanche, right? Sean Miller, without question right now, is the best college basketball coach, the best active college basketball coach to have never gone to the Final Four. After Mark Few punched through, there's nobody left but Sean. And that's not a distinction that anybody wants. Sean doesn't like it. But when I read articles like this, I just can't help but think that here we go again. I will read you an excerpt. The label, or I should say that label, however, may not stick for long because Miller's Wildcats are emerging as the team to beat heading into the 2017-2018 season. It feels inevitable that someday soon he too will break through and reach the season's final weekend. It's like, yeah, it does feel that way. I'm not here to say that that's not going to happen. I'm not here to tell you that Arizona's not going to the Final Four in 2018. It's 11 months from right now. It's really hard to see that far into the future. My crystal ball gets a little bit cloudier every time you step a further month into the future. You know what I'm saying? But I am here to tell you that while you will read articles like this throughout the offseason going into 2017, 2018, but we've read these before. Read them last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. We have seen this before. Maybe it will be. Maybe I said that last year. Maybe I said that 3 years ago. And that is Arizona's problem right now. And it will continue to be Arizona's problem until it's not. And by that I mean until they go to the Final Four. There will be no other story. There will be no other dialogue. And then you wonder, as the article details, is that why you bring in a guy like Lorenzo Romar? Is that one of the reasons? Is Lorenzo going to be like Sean's chill counselor? Like, hey, Sean, chill. It's hard to see Sean Miller changing. He's 48 years old, which, as the article points out, isn't very old, but at the same time, he's not very new either. 13 seasons, I believe. He's been a head coach since he was 35 years old, starting at Xavier, going to Arizona. Been around basketball his entire life. I mean, you can say, yeah, he's only 48, but as far as I'm concerned, the guy's got like 40 years in the basketball game, pretty intensely as well. Even if he wasn't a coach those, in those early days, growing up with his brother, his dad. He's on the Tonight Show when he was a teenager, and a young teenager at that. And I'm not even sure if he was 13. He might have been 12. A lifetime of basketball. I equate Sean Miller in that sense to our friends Chris and Shelley Duncan. They're not the same person. It's a different sport. It's a different atmosphere. But if you think about it, with both Chris and Shelley, and I know that Chris does something a little different now in hosting sports talk radio, but with Shelley still being in the game, what else do they know? Their whole lives have been that way. And Sean's has too. So it's hard for me to assume that he's going to be able to change. I'm not even sure if he has to. Do I think Arizona is losing games because he's a maniac on the sideline? No. Sometimes do I think he pushes his kids too hard too early and it allows them or forces them to struggle to finish? Yeah, probably. The Kentucky Derby is this weekend. If you nudge your horse too early, he may not have the gas to finish at the end. You got to find that right moment to ask them to turn it up, to ask them to flip that intensity switch. And with Sean, the switch is already flipped. It's always flipped. So the article says you can't judge a coach by his last game. Sean Miller says you can't judge a coach by his last game. I agree with that 100%. But what about this? Can I judge a coach based on all of his final games? I think so. And to this point, Sean has never made it to basketball's final weekend. And until he does, that's going to be the only story surrounding him, surrounding his program. Nobody's going to question his ability to have success in the Pac-12 or on the recruiting trail or in the non-conference. Nobody's going to question any of that. But nobody's going to care about that because Arizona hasn't gone to the Final Four in 16. Did I do that right? 16 years? It's been a long time. And it'll be 17 before it happens. So you can read articles like this. I read it by Seth Davis. But you've read it before. You're going to read it again. Until it changes, it's all you are going to see. I promise. Last call coming up here on ESPN Tucson 1490 and 104.9 FM. ESPN Tucson 1490 and 1049 FM. Don't forget, tonight is Meet the Chefs, brought to you by Rio Nuevo at the Rialto. It's just $10 to get in, and it is going to be how we help determine the two chefs that will square off at Iron Chef Tucson. That is June 3rd at the West in La Paloma. But tonight at the Rialto is Meet the Chefs, brought to you by Rio Nuevo. You can go to ESPNTucson.com for information on that. We will have Diamondbacks and Nationals coverage from D.C. at 4 o'clock. And today's last call will kind of lead into that. Stacey, I was very critical in the opening segment and last night on Twitter, for those that were following, of the Diamondbacks' decision to again go to Fernando Rodney after he blew back-to-back saves.
Yeah.
I wanted him to go in a different direction. Not necessarily permanently, but I think if somebody exhibits a pattern of behavior that is not helping you move forward, you have to see if you need to go in a different direction. I think the only way you can figure that out is if you actually attempt that different direction, if only for a minute. They didn't do that, and here's what I've noticed. With Terry Lavulo, I have noticed a pattern with Lavello that he is going to give, no matter who it is, a starter, a reliever, a position player, that player is going to get the maximum amount of time, the maximum space to succeed.
Yes.
He leaves his starters in longer than a lot of people would. He sticks with guys out of the bullpen more frequently than other people would who are struggling. And, you know, my biggest thought there is that at least he's consistent. You know what you're getting from your manager. You know that maybe if you're laboring a little bit, that he's going to let you figure it out. He's going to force you to figure it out. And I think there can be a growth tool there. I think there can be a value there. I think it's just as long as you understand that that's how he operates, that's what he does. He didn't do it because he was stubborn. He left Rodney where he was last time because that's his coaching philosophy. I don't love it, but he sticks to it. Well, what else do you say?
I guess it shows the guys that he has confidence in them.
Well, that's his tool. That's his thought, is that, look, I'm going to instill the confidence in my players and let them operate with full confidence and let them be the best player they can be. It sounds a little hokey, but I think that's what he wants. I'm not saying I love it.
I get what you're saying in that Rodney had really struggled.
Ugh.
Really struggled.
8 runs in 2 games. He's a closer.
But I guess in what McFarland go a couple innings,
or do you
put De La Rosa in the 9th inning,
or do you shuffle your order and go Hoover in the 9th as opposed to in the 7th?
Because Hoover's been pitching very well.
That's really what I thought we were going to see last night. But as soon as they announced Hoover in the 7th, I knew at that point that Rodney would be closing.
Well, what do you think? I mean, he let Walker go 117 pitches. Less than 5 innings.
Well, but that's what you get with Taijuan Walker, though. Again, I've been relatively impressed with the way that Walker is.
I think that also had to do with the umpiring last night, right?
Not the best.
Well, yeah. I mean, Washington starter Rourke, he had 125 pitches.
Right, and that's the thing. I'm glad you mentioned that because both Taijuan Walker and Tanner Rourke had the same problem last night. The two of them combined to throw almost 250 pitches, and neither one of them got really deep into that game. So certainly I think you can see a commonality there. But, you know, you can use the umpiring to describe some of it or to explain some of it. But, Stacey, we know with Taijuan Walker, some nights, that's just what
his norm.
That's just what well, his norm is not having a norm. You don't really know what you're going to get with him. But I would have liked to have seen them try something else. Because, Stacey, here's what happens now. Last night, against the heart of the best lineup in baseball, he shut it down.
Yeah.
But that doesn't do it for me because I'm still not sold.
I'm not sold on Rodney either, but I do love that Lavello is letting guys play. He's giving them an opportunity to prove themselves.
Yeah. So what happens if he goes out there last night and where do you draw the line? Where does that stop? What if he was the manager last year? How long do you leave Shelby Miller out there week in it? Well, do you keep letting him start? I know we're having a different conversation because Shelby Miller's injured.
I know but it's a situation where at some point you do have to let these guys prove themselves.
And
Rodney proved last night that He can come back
Okay.
and pitch well.
So here's my concern. If you're Lovello, he blows one tonight or tomorrow. Then what do you do? Now
You really start considering making a change.
But he proved himself, and then he unproved himself, and then he proved himself, and then which one do you listen to? At some point, you got to make a choice. And I think he's made his choice, at least this far. Their closer is Fernando Rodney. Yeah, he's made his choice.
And I think that's a situation where come trade deadline, make a trade.
And well, certainly depending on where the Diamondbacks are at that point. Because if you're going to contend, I don't believe it can be.
You have to change.
Fernando Rodney. That's exactly correct. We're going to send you to our nation's capital right now. Tom Candiotti and the governor. They'll have the call. We're back tomorrow, full show 3 to 6 on ESPN Tucson 1490 and 104.9 FM.